Hare Krishna. How is the Bhagavad Gita the quintessential text for the science of yoga? Answer, I'll talk about in three parts. First of all, how the Bhagavad Gita presents spirituality in general, yoga in particular, as a science. How it presents yoga and how the Bhagavad Gita's overall mood gels with the scientific postmodern ethos of our times today. In science, broadly, there are two branches. There is philosophy and there is theory and there is experiment. The theory proposes certain conceptions about the nature of material reality, and the experiment offers us tangible ways to prove or disprove the theory. The Bhagavad Gita in 9.2 talks about how spirituality also has these two dimensions. Raja Vidya, that spirituality we could say has two branches. That is, one is philosophy. Philosophy offers us postulates about the nature of all of reality, whereas generally science, especially modern science, is methodological naturalistic, which means it focuses on natural or material reality. Philosophy tries to cover the entire gamut of reality. So philosophy offers us insights or perspectives or theories, we could say, about the nature of reality. But then what is important is pratyaksha vagamam. That same verse says that the Gita also provides us practices. So practices in philosophy practices in spirituality are like experiments in science. The practices are meant to help us gain tangible experiences that can help us sense the reality of what the philosophy is teaching. So while modern science is experimental, we could say spirituality, as taught in the Bhagavad Gita, is experiential, because the experiment is done in or on the laboratory of our consciousness, and therein we experience higher realities. Now, if this twofold approach is considered, philosophy and practice, analogous to theory and experiment in science, then what does the Gita teach about philosophy and what practice does it offer? So the practice that it offers is yoga. And in many ways, people across the world, in millions, maybe even billions, have benefited from yoga, especially posture yoga or physical yoga, where many people have found that, millions of people in fact, found that their health becomes better, they become fitter by the practice of yoga. And while this itself is extremely positive and empowering, this can also open a window of curiosity. These practices of bodily postures, where do they come from? Does the tradition, do the wisdom texts that provide us this system of yoga, do they offer us something more? So while yoga today is seen as primarily a set of practices of physical postures, but there is much more within that. The Gita does talk about physical postures in the 6th chapter briefly, but it focuses on the bigger worldview, the philosophy behind all this. And there it states that we have a higher side. There is a physical, mental and spiritual side. And yoga addresses not just our physical side, but also meant to address our mental and spiritual side. And for this purpose, the Gita analyzes various yogas. There is Dhyan Yoga, there is Gyan Yoga, there is Karma Yoga, there is Bhakti Yoga. And in just 700 verses, which could basically be read in just an hour, the entire Gita's text can fit in just the front and back pages of the New York Times. But in such a compact space, the Gita overviews various paths and gives us a concise and clear pathway, a map for going forward in our spiritual journey. And especially for today's ethos, the philosophy that the Gita offers is rational. The Gita does not begin with some call for belief in something mystical. It does not begin with dogmas or commandments. It begins with a mood of inquiry. The student Arjuna asks questions and the Gita addresses those questions rationally, and it ends in not a call for faith but a call for reflection. The Gita ends with, now Arjun, you deliberate and do as you desire. So the Gita is a book that respects human intelligence and human independence and urges one to use these wisely. So the philosophy is rational and the practice is transformational. If we adopt the principles and the practices given in the Bhagavad Gita, each one of us can find three things enriching our life: peace, purpose, and purity. As we start connecting with our spiritual core, we'll find that life's ups and downs will disturb us less. We'll find a sublime peace streaming over our entire being. And not just peace that is passive. The Gita also empowers us with a purpose. It gives us a vision of the universe as a connected whole, within which each one of us is not just a fragmented being struggling for existence. We are integral parts of a higher reality. And each one of us has a divine purpose for our life. And finally, it gives us sublime pleasure. It helps us find a higher joy, in comparison with which all the pleasures of the world pale and become stale over time. That is how the Gita is eminently a book that echoes the spirit of science as well as the spirit of individuality. Science through its rational approach to philosophy, and the postmodern spirit of individual experience by providing us practices for experiencing higher realities ourselves. Thank you.